I had some real trouble making that scene because I swear when I first saw that scene come on, man, I almost cried. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was watching in the basement by myself because my wife wasn't into Star Wars at the time. I don't think she is still. But anyway, you heard the breathing. Oh, purr. Oh, purr. And then like the lightsaber came out and I screamed. I swear my wife thought I had an aneurysm or something.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
But anyway, the truth is, if we had to give the sequels and Disney credit for something, it would be the fact that they use lightsabers a lot. Like literally every chance they get, they use it. And you know, normally under any circumstance, I would not have a problem with that because Star Wars is, again, iconically about the lightsaber. But man, that kind of makes sense, right? Because the fucking thing doesn't kill anything. It's like, it's a blunt weapon of sorts. I've never seen somebody phone it in this fucking hard, man. It does not take a rocket scientist to go back and do a little bit of research to see how dangerous lightsabers actually are. Like really though, it was like the defining thing. If you had to ask anyone on the street, can you define Star Wars in one word? It would most likely be lightsaber or Darth Vader or something like that. I know Darth Vader is 2 words and whatever, but you know what I mean. So for Disney to take over this IP and do fucking zero research, even though they had Lucasfilm and everything under their belt, and not to mention countless hours and almost unlimited material online to research, to then go ahead and blunt the one instrument and got people hooked on it in the first place is just appalling to me. Let's break this down. I think the original trilogy, to be very honest with you, didn't have too much lightsaber action. And think about it, even Sidious didn't have a lightsaber, I don't think, for the most part. Let me know in the comment section if you think I'm wrong there. I'm pretty sure he didn't though. Which again is what made him so powerful. You're like, this guy doesn't even have this. Like, what kind of control does he have over Vader? And then you see the Force light and you're like, oh shit, okay, alright. I think the original trilogy did a good job of putting the story out there with some interesting things like lightsabers and the Force and stuff like that that kept the fans sort of wanting more. But in terms of lightsaber battles, there wasn't really too much. It was training, and again, we need to see that, right? But we need to see how like a random farm boy like Luke could actually, you know, make mistakes and get in front of Vader and face his fears. It seemed like a daunting task for the audience and for Luke. And, you know, realistically, he didn't even need that lightsaber. It was just a defense. It was a tool. And Obi-Wan sort of mentioned that to him, like, this is a tool of a Jedi. When he was training with Yoda, for example, Yoda was telling him, like, your training's not complete. It's not about using the lightsaber or really anything the Force related. It's about you. You have to build as a person. You have to develop and grow stronger. Until then, you know, you're going to be a liability to your friends and everybody around you, including yourself. But I think the prequels really put the lightsaber battles on a map, man. Like, they really showed the different forms, way more colors, more acrobatics, and it was just awesome to watch, especially with the score. Man, oh, the Duel of Fates. Like, take a look at this and tell me how you don't like this as a lightsaber battle. In the OT, you just get something like counters and parries, but look at this, man. This is like a damn dance. People legit walked out of watching this movie saying that the movie was terrible. Can you believe that? Still one of the greatest songs from Star Wars. But if you really think about it, in the OT and the prequels, when somebody got hit with a lightsaber, you're either game over or you're losing a limb. Like, something's happening to a point where your life is altered forever. Like, bro, you are not going to be the same if a lightsaber makes contact with you in any form. If it touches your arm, the arm's coming off. That's it. I'm sorry. If it's touching your leg, you're done for. Like, you know, you're about to be in a wheelchair. If it goes through your body, I'm sorry, but that's KO for you. You're done. But god damn it, am I pretty pissed off that the sequels turned lightsabers into like a baton. Now it's more of a tickling tool, you know? Like, you can stab somebody with it, but hey, you know, they can come back to life, no problem. Like, even in Obi-Wan, Reva's blocking straight up blaster bolts from an A-wing. Bro, like, that seems a little unrealistic. Come on, man. If I had to give the sequels credit for anything, it is that they tried to introduce different kinds of lightsabers, like, you know, with Kylo Ren's hilt and all that. That looked really, really cool. I can't lie to you. I used to have a wallpaper on my computer with Kylo Ren and the lightsaber. I was like, shit, man, this is gonna be epic when Force Awakens comes out. And you know, I think with the shows, they brought the whole Inquisitors, lightsabers and stuff into play from Clone Wars, the animated series and stuff. So, you know, I can appreciate that. But how cool is something really if it loses the thing that makes it cool in the first place? Like, the lightsaber was a force to be reckoned with, man. Yes, in the prequels especially, lightsabers came out pretty often. But you gotta remember, it didn't come out unless it absolutely needed to be there. Like, you know, Anakin would go and slice up the worms that were trying to kill Padme. Obi-Wan barely uses lightsaber unless it was for actual battles, like especially with Darth Maul and stuff like that. It's not like they're pulling it out every 10 seconds. Whereas you go to the sequels and Kylo Ren, as soon as he sees anything, he like stomps his foot and then pulls out the lightsaber. Bro, like, I mean, relax. Like, you have other abilities that can help you solve the problem. You don't always have to slice stuff up. But then again, I understand, right? Because if the lightsaber is that ineffective, you might as well pull it out, because it's like, you know, it's not going to be a trump card if you just hold it to the end. I feel like the sequels took the worst part of the original trilogy and the worst part of the prequels, and they fucking mashed it together and made a lightsaber thing out of it. By that I mean they took the lack of any lightsabers being used, and then at the same time the lightsabers being used all the time, and then they're like, you know what, if we're gonna use it all the time, we're just gonna make it completely, you know, docile. Like, they could have learned from the original trilogy a little bit, right? The one thing that they did really good in terms of the lightsaber stuff, the original trilogy, is that if you notice, like, whenever the lightsaber came out, it was very subtle. Like, they didn't move their body that much. They were just, like, Vader would just stand there and the lightsaber would slowly, right? It would just come out. And even Luke, like, he would pull it out in fear, and you could see the fear in his eyes. He's like, you know what? Let's do this. But the lightsaber would come out. It's not like he's moving his hands like crazy. The only time I remember him doing that was on Han's ship, where he sort of does that weird flick and the lightsaber comes out, and I honestly thought he was going to chop his head off. But that subtle, no movement, but the lightsaber comes out thing, man, it was intimidating. You were literally like, what the fuck is going to happen next? And then the prequels did a good job of actually displaying all the things you could do with it. So really, it was a layup for the sequels to just take some of that and maybe tone it down in terms of making it less like a dance, show the different forms and stuff like that. And I think fans would have really appreciated that. I mean, I definitely would have. Actually, even The Mandalorian did a good job of this, right? They avoided the whole lightsaber thing for a long time. And when it finally came out, oh boy, it was very intimidating. They did that whole, like, you know, hide it, hide it, hide it. And then bam, like when you least expect it, it shows up. And it really did a good job of displaying the effectiveness of lightsaber. I mean, that scene at the end with Luke, those droids are not surviving jack shit. Like, those guys are scrap metal. Like, this whole thing makes the bad guys so fucking impotent. Like, what are we supposed to fear with these guys now? I mean, at least with Vader, like, he barely pulled out his saber, but when he did, he was a fucking beast. Like, you did not mess with that guy. But now it's like Kylo is just pulling it out every time he throws a tantrum. And it's funny because Adam Driver's a good actor. Like, I don't understand why they decided to give him a shitty script and just make him act like an angsty teenager. Why would you give somebody the coolest lightsaber and have him be completely useless with it? It makes no sense to me. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree. Until the next one, may the force be with you. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Start to drop.